Alright, so I am going to go over how to focus your camera and why it's very important. And yeah, so like making sure your camera's recording. So remember, right now it's just off, it's just in sleep mode. So remember, make sure you record by hitting this button. You can see that red light, that's super important. Hit that, turn off. Second most important thing is make sure you're focused. So important. And I'm going to show you why this is very deceiving and why you think that you might be focused on something when there's a good chance that you're not completely focused. So what I wish I had another camera so I could show you this camera angle, and maybe I'll just pick up the camera and I'll shoot some B-roll of me twisting the lens so you see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to twist a lens right here. And what I'm doing is I'm actually taking things in and out of focus. So if I wanted to get this pole in focus right here, I would turn this until it looks like it's in focus, right? Well, let me turn it back on. It fell asleep again. So right now, I guess that looks like it's pretty in focus, right? Well, that's the problem, is that we're looking at this tiny screen and we can't tell if things are perfectly in focus or not. And we want things to be as in focus as we can get them. And how do you do that? Well, luckily we have a cool button right here. See this magnifying glass button? If we hit this button, it'll zoom in. Cool, huh? So I just zoomed in. Now, obviously, I zoomed in on the center of the picture, which is where the chalkboard is. So you see this little dial right here? So I can actually just navigate this. So look, I am super zoomed in now. I'm not sure if I hit that magnifying button once or twice. I think with this camera, you only hit it once and it zooms into 10, whereas with the other camera, you can zoom into 5 times 5 and then times 10. So right now, it actually looks like we're quite a bit in focus, but now watch. Since I zoomed in, and now I'm going to use this focal ring right here, I can get this in even better focus. There. So now we are in really good focus. So now, when I hit this button again, oh, look, oh, never mind, it's this camera that zooms in. So look, now I know I'm in perfect focus. So now if I hit this again, I know that this thing right here is in perfect focus. That is really nice. And so I want you guys to get in the habit of doing that when we're shooting our viral videos, because that is what's super important, to get that dead focus, that perfect aim. Now, it's also really easy to bump this, right? And then all of a sudden you got to focus. Well, just learn to do it fast. And usually it doesn't take very long. And now I am focused. So really nice feature right here. And I want you to use it, especially when we're doing those very specific things. So this feature, this zoom in feature is really nice. Very helpful. It gets it spot on. Another thing which you can do is you can actually use a quick focus. But I don't want you to get to rely on that. You can use that quick focus. I want you to use the quick focus for things like when we shoot activities and we just want it to be generally in focus. So I'm actually going to take the camera off right now so we can see. Now, right now I'm zoomed in with the camera. While I'm taking this off, let me explain something. The way cameras work, the further you're zoomed in, the shallower your depth of field is, meaning that literally the top of my fingers are not quite in focus. You see this? But yet this is, meaning that that's like half an inch. And so you have this tiny depth of field. When the further you're zoomed in, the tinier depth of field you have. And so that's why when you're zoomed in on people's faces, when you see the movies and they're zoomed in on somebody's face, the background is just a complete blur. It's because you have this tiny depth of field. Now we can change that depth of field manually, and you won't need to know that. I'll do that for you. But for some of the shots we do want to have that shallow depth of field because it looks very cinematic, and that visually it looks crisp and strong, and it takes people's attention and focuses it on what you want them to be focused on. So I'm going to zoom this back out. So now, if you, literally, my hand is focused. It's in focus all the way to here. It loses focus about right there. So now, just by me zooming out a little bit, we expanded about 2 inches in our focus. Now, the camera is actually on its mode where it's on the shallowest focus. But so usually you'll have more room because I'll set it up. Or usually you'll have more wiggle room because I'll set it up that way. What did I want to show you? Oh yeah, the quick mode. So there's a quick mode that you can learn by doing this. Let's take this off. All right, so now I just took this off. Well, oh, how did I bring that back to life? Well, I brought it back to life because I used this. But don't do what I just did, because sometimes people think that they're turning it back on, and when really they're focusing it. So right now, my lens, this is my autofocus, and my autofocus is on. And see this dot right here? That's where I'm telling the camera to focus. Now let's say that we had this laying here again, and this dot wasn't, let's say this dot was back in the center of the picture. As soon as I hold this down, it'll try and focus on whatever is back there. And when it hits that green button, then it tells me it's focused. So, so I can aim this here and I can go, oh, I want to focus on that thing. Oh, focused. And it's pretty well focused, but it's not perfect. So you can use this quick focus most of the time. Now keep in mind, it doesn't focus while we're actually filming. Once we're filming, I can hold this down as much as I want. I'm holding it down, and it's not changing. So you have to get your shot set up before you start filming. Very important. There's all these rules, and I'm trying to remember them all the best I can. All right, so the last thing I want to go over with you guys is how to compose the picture. So we went over focusing and the buttons of the camera, but I want to show you how to compose a picture. Now right now, my head is out of the picture, which you don't want. Actually, let me come down. This is about kind of the right composition. So many people make this mistake when they're filming or shooting pictures, is that they put the person's head at the center of the picture. This is not where you want. This is not where you want to have the composition of the picture. You'll see that you have all this extra space. The space up top is very unattractive to the eye, so we don't want to have it down here. So let me come back to here. I am splitting a little bit, but for filming things like narrating me to the camera, you can put me straight in the center of the picture. Why? Because it's almost a little, it's a little frustrating to the eye, almost a little bit. That I'm just dead center in the picture and I'm looking straight at the picture. It gives you this sense that I'm actually talking to you, which is what YouTubers do so well right now with their channels, is they set something up where they'll sit here and just talk straight into the camera at the center of the camera, and usually they'll have like a blank background. So when we're shooting things like parents talking to the camera, yeah, you'll probably want to set something up like this. Maybe even closer. Now it's going to get out of focus because there's nobody behind the camera, but this composition is about right. So my head can be right near the top of the picture. It can even be touching. My mouth is close to the center of the picture. My eyes are just above the center line of the picture, the equator of the picture. Let's think. Yeah, so this is good. It's a little bit up close. Problem with being up close is you don't get a lot of hand movements. You don't get the gestures of what's going on. So the closer I get, which obviously I'm way out of focus now. Here, let me see if I can focus this real quick. So if I'm this close this is where you get the drama of the picture, is right here. Now, you're not going to need to be this close when you're shooting the interviews, just like parents talking to the camera. You'll want to be back there again. But when we do shoot our dialogue pictures of our viral videos, this is how close you'll want to be for some of those dialogue pictures. What you will want to do though, is you'll want to off-center the picture a little bit. And it all depends on where I'm looking. So if I am looking this way, you'll want to off-center me this side. So if I'm talking to somebody right here and saying, hey, how are you doing? This is where you want to have me off-centered, about right here. And you can always get closer if you want. This is actually an okay place to be. Now I'm actually standing really close to the camera, so it's distorting some fisheye, but if I were to zoom in more, the more you zoom in, and then I come back here, let's see if I can do this like a hero, figuring out where it's going to focus with that one. So from right here, if I'm standing right here and I'm talking to somebody, you off-center me to this side because I'm looking this way. If I was looking this way, you'll want to have me off-centered this way. And you can see that I'm just in focus right now. So if I was talking to somebody right here, this is how you'd want to put me. Look at any movie, anything, watch any movie, and they all follow these rules. Some don't. Like, you know, you'll get your Sundance Film Festival ones that think outside the box, and there's always movies out there that break the rules. The King's Speech, that broke tons of rules, but the way that they shot it was awesome. So, but we're not going to try and be pioneers on getting these crazy images. We're going to play it safe. We're going to play by the rules, which is what I was showing you. So the same thing. If I was talking to somebody, you want me slightly off-centered if I'm looking this way. If I'm looking this way, you want to off-center me this way, because it looks weird if I'm off-centered looking this way. But you'll notice it's okay if I'm standing right here looking this way, because this is my box. My hands can come up here, make all sorts of gestures. There's an invisible line rule, which you probably don't need to know too much of, but I'll tell you anyways. In movies, most of the time they make like a line and they don't cross it. So let's pretend that you're aiming your camera at me right here. Let's pretend we have fake cameras. Let's say I am a fake camera and I am aiming right here. Or let's pretend I am a camera, not a fake one. But let's pretend I'm aiming right here. If this is my line right here, I do not cross it this way. If I crossed it this way, that means I have a new line, which is more like this. So if I'm aiming here, it's hard to explain on video. So if I'm aiming right here and I have a line that's going from the camera to the whiteboard, if I'm standing right here, my other camera would have to be angled this way. I do not put a camera anywhere angled that way or this way, so it looks awkward. And so it's another movie rule that we use. So, and if you didn't understand what I was just saying, don't worry about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Jeez. I don't know. Can't think of anything else. All right. It's going to have to do.